What's up everyone, this is Nox and I'm here to bait you into playing anything but Deadeye for your League starter. And I'm also here to get us a few minutes closer to the release on Friday. Time is ticking. I know I'm super excited. A lot of people are as well. So I've decided to go Stormweaver for my League starter, and I'm going to explain why and what the rough plan for my League start is. This is not a build guide. Nobody has access to the passive tree completely right now, so a full build guide would be impossible. We also haven't played around with any of the new spells to really understand how everything works. So why Stormweaver? So I want to play with the new Infusion spells. They showcased them in the release video. And, you know, as you can see, you're shooting elemental spells all over the place. You're sort of fusing the elements together and it's rewarding that playstyle. And I want to play with that. That seems really interesting. It's one of the things I was most excited about in the reveal. So that's what I'm going to do. Stormweaver has two changed ascendancy nodes that make infusion generation more consistent than any other ascendancy. And I think it will be really flexible, because just in case infusions suck and numerically they just aren't very good, we have access to swap into something like mana stacking or a mono element or something like that. I feel like Stormweaver's pretty flexible and it makes for sort of a safe League starter while we're still experimenting. So Stormweaver is receiving some changes in 030. Let's go over them quickly. Force of Will now grants 20% of damage taken from mana before life and 20% increased magnitude of arcane surge on you per 10% of missing mana. We'll talk a little bit more about this later. Elemental Storm now has a cooldown of 3 seconds, down from 5. The node behind it has been renamed to Multiplying Squalls and provides +1 limit to elemental skills. This gives us an extra Living Bomb, an extra Orb of Storms, Solar Orb, and now Frost Bomb, now that that has a limit. Scouring Winds has been renamed to Storm Recollection, which causes remnants you create to reappear 3 seconds after. Now I'm assuming this applies to all remnants, not just the infusions. So this would work for something like mana remnants as well if you were struggling with mana regen. And then finally, Heart of the Storm has been renamed to Refracted Infusion. It now provides a 50% chance when collecting an elemental infusion to gain another one of a different elemental infusion. So this is essentially a 50% more multiplier on every infusion we generate because it's on collecting, not on generation. As far as ways we can generate infusions, GGG showcased these in the content reveal. We have a new Spirit Gem that gives us a chance to spawn infusions on Igniting, Shocking, and Freezing, as well as a Support Gem to buff it, along with the other spells I'm about to mention. So Orb of Storms generates a lightning infusion after you cast enough spells in it, or after its duration expires. Living Bomb generates a fire infusion after you deal enough damage to the target that has Living Bomb on it. Frost Bomb generates one upon explosion in the reveal, but that isn't in the current patch notes, so that's still up in the air. Cold Snap has been, I'm just going to let Jonathan say it.
Cold Snap has been simply turned into Snap. Previously you could use it to shatter ice, but now it works to detonate all of the different elemental ailments and makes them leave behind infusions. And just like how you could previously use it on Frostbolt, you can now also use it on Orb of Storms and Solar Orb to detonate those as well, which means you can create many infusions at once.
Now, the patch notes don't say that it can be used on orbs. They did, and then they didn't. Now it says Frostbolt only. Now it says, we aren't really sure. The live reveal said that it can be used on orbs. The patch notes do not say that, but the patch notes also don't say that Frost Bomb generates a cold infusion. So I'm not really sure what's going on here. This is Editing Nox from the future. I was just about to post this video and I was editing it and they posted some new patch note changes. So Cold Snap now has a 4-second cooldown, so it's not going to be as consistent as the video implies. It also still does not mention orbs in its current patch notes, although it did in the video. We don't really know what's going on. A lot of these patch notes are really incomplete with POE2, so I guess we'll fuck it, we ball. So all that being said and out of the way, here's plan A. I want to try to get cold infused spark to work. The plan is to generate cold infusions via Frost Bomb, if that works, and then I'll use the lightning infusions that I generate randomly on Flame Wall and the fire infusions on Comet for extra single target. Firestorm works here too to soak up the other infusions. My plan B is to get fire infused Fireball to work. This is more of a basic combo. You just apply Living Bomb, Fireball to always have a fire infusion, and then I'll use the other two infusions on Firestorm again for single target. And then finally, plan C, Lightning, Arc, Archmage. I think this is a safe fallback plan due to the buffs to Archmage, the ease of generating lightning infusions with Orb of Storms, and Stormweaver's Ascendancy giving us that 20% of damage taken as mana before life. This, combined with some runes and a Cloak of Defiance, allows us to get to 100% of damage taken from mana before life without using Mind Over Matter. So we aren't suffering that less mana reduction penalty, and so our mana problems are pretty much solved. And then in addition, I mentioned earlier that Force of Will was changed. So the 20% increased magnitude of Arcane Surge should be a separate multiplier to Arcane Surge effect, which means we can use something like Indigon if we were playing around with Archmage to, whenever our mana is low, it just sort of shoots back up because we just have so much mana regen. So that's something I'm going to be playing around with. We'll be testing. Nobody knows what's going on. I don't even think GGG knows what's going on, but here we are. Obviously, this is just a rough plan, but you can watch me executing it live at twitch.tv/NoxBlasts. We do have some really cool drops coming out, and these are active on my channel if you guys are interested. And there you have it. With that, please leave in the comments below what you guys are thinking about league starting. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and sub, and I'll see you guys next time.